Hello, good morning, good afternoon, or good night, depending of what part of the world you're visiting us. I am Daniel Marcos. I'm the CEO of the Growth Institute, and I'm going to be teaching you how can you be a better CEO, a better leader of a company to be able to grow your company more and reduce the drama of the operation. I'm going to be teaching this class from my home office in Toronto, in Canada. Super excited to be here. Thank you very much, and let's start. So I always like to start with this logo, and this is the logo of our company, because of the phrase that it says below: scale impact and reduce drama. We believe that as entrepreneurs, as leaders of companies, we want to be able to give a big impact to the world. We want to have financial impact, the way we impact the world, giving more employment, helping more people, doing a bigger impact in the world, but also we want to reduce the drama of the operation. I've been a CEO and an entrepreneur for the last 20 years, and I know how much drama we bring to our personal life, our families, because of being an entrepreneur and because we lead companies. So we believe what gives an entrepreneur freedom is two things: scale your impact and reduce your drama. In this next 2 hours and a half, I'm going to give you a lot of recommendations, a lot of tools to help you be able to scale your impact and reduce the drama of the operation. And in this presentation, we're going to talk about Impact X. And it's a model that we teach companies. How can a company have up to 10 times more impact and reduce the drama of the operation? We really believe exponential growth and scaling, it's doable if you take the right decisions. We're going to go through the presentation and give you the right tools for you to take the right decisions and be able to give 10 times more impact to your industry while enjoying the ride. We want to grow our companies, want to make more money, but we want to be enjoying scaling the company, not just all the drama that happens with it. All right, so let's start. And we believe there's two types of CEOs. One CEO type is like her, in this case, Sarah. That's how we call her internally. And Sarah is trying to teach her team something, and you could see the eyes of the team. They're kind of lost. If you could see, they have their faces to the side, they're kind of looking up. They're really not engaged in what Sarah is trying to explain. And you could see the eyes of Sarah. She's frustrated. She's trying to teach something, and they're not getting it. You could even see the veins that she has here, that she's frustrated. You could feel that she's not getting her point around. And then you get someone like him. And I think he's brilliant. Satya Nadella is the CEO of Microsoft since February 2014. I think he's one of the best CEOs out there. And by the way, full disclaimer, the computer I'm recording, it's a Mac computer. I have my iPad here. I have my iPhone. I do everything in Mac. But I strongly admire the CEO of Microsoft. I think he's an amazing leader. And here I'd like to tell a story. One day I went to a negotiations class, and before we started the class, they pair you with another student of the class and ask you to do a negotiation, like a case study. So they give us case study A, case study B, and send us to negotiate for half hour. When we came back to the class, the professor said, okay, the case study was about buying and selling a company. So you have to report what number did you agree in the negotiation to sell the company for. And when you have one case and the other has the other case, you have different information, and then you try to negotiate to get to a number to sell the company. And when people begin responding their numbers to the dashboard for the professor to write, there were people, let's say, put $1 million, and there were people that sold it for $20 million. And people even got offended because there was such a big difference. And that's why the professor wanted to do that exercise. Because whenever you're doing a negotiation, you don't know how much money you left on the table because you were not doing the things right. And when you're a CEO of a company, it's the same thing. you really don't know how much money you're leaving on the table. Yes, you could grow your company 10% or 15%. Have you have grown it 50 or 100%? Or probably just 5% or 2%. You never know how good you did. You have a percentage, but you don't know if you could have done 10 times more. So for me, if you have a public company, you have a stock market that gives you a valuation. But if it's like you or me, or most of the people on this call, that we manage or we lead private companies, we don't have a stock tracker. So we don't know how much money we left on the table. This is for me the best example of a CEO that knows how to get the most out of the company. This is a chart of Microsoft valuation since they started. As you could see at the beginning, Microsoft until 2000, it was run by Bill Gates. And you saw they went from like zero valuation to around $50 per stock. From zero to around 50. That's Bill Gates. And then Bill Gates retires and gives the company to Steve Ballmer. And you could see Steve Ballmer, he entered in 2000 to 2014. He had 0% growth on the stock. He created no value to investors. You could see the stock went down and then stay down, and it was kind of up when he left, and that was it. And by the way, if you see on the chart, Steve Ballmer is worth $71 billion. He did not add even 1% of value to the company, but he is worth 71 billion. And then you see Satya Nadella from 2014 to today. The valuation has gone up 5.5 times in 6 years. He has double valuation of the company every year since he's been a CEO. I think we're in a little bit of a technology bubble, so it's probably not that much, but that's growth. That's how much value he has created for his shareholders. And by the way, he's not just a numbers guy. If you read about him and if you see interviews about him, he's a very nice human being. He has several kids. 2 of them have disabilities. And he talks about his kids and how much time he spends with the kids and how dedicated as a parent he is to his family and his kids. So he's not just about the numbers. What I admire of Satya Nadella the most, he brought back the culture to Microsoft. He brought the heart back to Microsoft. And that's why Microsoft is worth what it's worth. Because someone like Satya Nadella is doing the right thing. So I really believe you have the choice. What side do you want to be? Do you want to be like Sarah? Or do you want to be like Satya Nadella? What camp do you want to be? And by the way, you're not alone. And I've been a CEO of my companies for the last 20 years. And I've been a CEO for 20 years. I've been leading companies for 20 years. In Mexico, I started in Mexico, then the US, now I'm in Canada. But I have operations in all America. And today I have students or executives learning with us in 68 countries of the world. And I get the same call in the middle of the night. I feel alone. I feel that I'm pulling all the weight of the company, and I'm the only one that is really carrying the weight of the company. And I feel alone. I feel I have to take all the decisions. I have to be right all the time. My employees expect me to give them a response all the time. So you're not alone, believe me. That's a feeling we all have. And this is my tribe. For me, what gave me that tribe, that group, was Entrepreneurs Organization, and today YPO, Young Presidents Organization. I'm a member of both organizations, but I joined EO 19 years ago, and that's been my tribe. All these entrepreneurs of all over the world that we help each other be better and improve. We are there. We go to MIT in Boston, Massachusetts every year, a group of 70 entrepreneurs, and we go there. I've been going to MIT 19 years in a row, except this year because of the pandemic. We've done a couple of virtual things, but we had to cancel the trip because of the pandemic. But you could see there, after one day of learning, we went to a Red Sox game and we got shirts with our name and everything. It was a lot of fun, but that's my tribe. You have to find your tribe. As entrepreneurs, We need to have investors and mentors and employees, but you need to have a tribe of your equals, entrepreneurs like you that are going through the same issues that you're going and really understand where you are. So find your tribe. That's been my tribe, and it's been an amazing experience. That's a little bit about myself. Those are all the companies I've been associated with in the last 20 years. I started with Finanzas Web, a financial website in Mexico, 1999. That company, we merged with Patagon.com, the one you see next to it. And in 3 years, we went from 100 employees when we merged to 1,200 employees in 3 years. And we sold the company to Banco Santander, a Spanish bank, for over $700 million. So I was there when I was 25 years until I was 29. I sold the company before my 30th year, and it was an amazing experience. But most importantly, it gave me a view very, very young to see how companies scale. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And those are some other companies I've been leading. As an example, I've been the ambassador of Singularity University in Austin for the last couple of years. I did my MBA in Babson and the rest. And today, I am the CEO of Growth Institute, and I am a CEO coach that I coach CEOs for the last 12 years. And here's the most important thing I've learned, and that's why you see all these books on the back. And by the way, it's not a picture. They're real books. And if you could see the camera wider, I have a lot of books on the back. And I've read them all. It's really important that we choose to do deliberate practice. So let me tell you a quick story. Imagine two friends meet one Saturday or Sunday to go and have breakfast, and they see all these people running a marathon and say, hey, you know what? We haven't done a lot of exercise recently. We're entrepreneurs, and we should join a marathon so we could train for 6 months or a year, and we could get into discipline of doing more exercise. Great, let's agree to that. So they make a commitment to run a marathon in 6 months from today. The first one goes home, tells his wife or whatever, and then the next day in the morning, wakes up in the morning and goes to run. And try to sleep better, eat better, and then have its own routine for running. The second entrepreneur goes home and said, I have no idea how to run a marathon. So I'm going to hire a coach, and I'm going to read a couple of books that teach you what's the best training to run a marathon. And I'm going to follow that. And then hires a coach, and every day goes to run with a coach. And the coach, while he's running, is going on the back and saying, hey, you're running too much to the right, pull to the left. Now run with your heels higher, or put your head higher on the back. Or it kind of gives them direction and a deliberate practice on how to improve. And then gives them a routine. Hey, today you're going to run 2 kilometers. Tomorrow you're going to run 5. On Saturday you're going to rest. On Sunday you're going to run 10 kilometers, and gives them a path to follow their training and discipline. Which of the entrepreneurs or the runners do you think is going to do better when they run the marathon? The first one or the second one? The second one, right? Because it follows so deliberate practice. So today, whenever I have a problem or an opportunity in my business, I always ask the question, who? Who has the right knowledge that I need to scale my business or tackle the opportunity or the problem that I have? And I usually go and buy their book, read the book, take their course online, sometimes hire them as my coach, and I just follow their process. And I have a disciplined practice of how to do it. In the book Outliers, Malcolm Gladwell gave us the 10,000 hour rule. He said, if you do something 10,000 hours, you're going to be great. Yes, not necessarily. I could do something 10,000 hours wrong, and it will still be wrong. I need to have someone to guide me to get better. So I have to have a deliberate practice of how to go better. So I think this is one of the most important things I've learned. And that's why I have all these books. And by the way, I probably get from this bookcase 3 or 4 books every day that I pull and I go back and review and follow what I learned. This is a little bit more about the Growth Institute. This is our faculty. You see, we partner with the best faculty around the world. Salim Ismail from Singularity University and Exponential Organizations, Vern Harnish from Scaling Up, Jack Daly from Hypersales Growth, Top Grading Brad Smart, amazing faculty. And we go and look for the best faculty to help executives of mid-market companies be able to scale faster and reduce the drama of the operation. Today, we have helped over 50,000 executives from 10,000 different companies in 68 countries around the world. Our goal, long-term goal, our BHAG, is to help 10 million leaders like you be able to scale your impact and reduce your drama. And that's why we're here recording this content, translated to Russian, to be able to help more people. And that's why we do what we do. But of course, we cannot just teach. We have to do internally. And this is an example, picture of Inc. magazine. There's a list in the US of the 5,000 fastest growing companies in the US. And as you could see, we've been the fastest growing company in the last 3 years. We've been one of the top 5,000 companies. 2018, we were the 1593. 2019, the 2251. This year, we're the 2100. So we're the 2100 fastest growing company in America the last year. So everything we teach, we have to use internally and implement internally. So everything you're going to hear from me today, it's going to be implemented or has been implemented in my company before. And here's my conclusion of 20 years of being a CEO. No one teaches you how to be a CEO. You kind of mimic of your ex-boss or a recommendation or something, and you build your own CEO system. And what do I refer as a CEO system? When I go to a company, I ask them, show me your systems. And they show me their accounting system, their production system, their customer support system. And I say, great, now show me your CEO system. How do you operate as a CEO? How do you take decision? How do you communicate your strategy? How do you manage your team? And they look at me like I'm weird. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, I have meetings and I take decisions. And I was like, yeah, but you have systems and procedures for everything you do in your business. You follow the best thought leaders and methodologies for everything you do. Why not to be a better CEO? People teach you how to be a better leader. No one teaches you how to be a better CEO. So we're going to talk about how to be a better CEO, and we're going to teach you a CEO system that is going to help you do 3 things. It's going to help you prioritize. It's going to help you measure everything you do, and it's going to help you communicate everything you do with your team. So the rest of the training is going to be about helping you build a CEO system so you could be a better CEO using those 3 things. You have, as part of this presentation, a workbook in a PDF. So I'm going to refer to the workbook many times, and I'm going to give you some exercises so you could implement what you learn. If you go to page number 4, that's what I'm showing you here. I want you to have page number 4 and page number 5, as you see here, execution ideas, open. So whenever you have an idea in this training, I want you to write it there. And I want you to write it in this format. Who is accountable to do what and by when? Or how are you going to measure success? Imagine you said, hey, you know what? We need to improve our website. If you just write improve website, the website is never going to be improved. You have to say, John is responsible to improving the website by January 1st. So who's accountable to do what and by when? But then you have 2 different pages, the scaling ideas and the execution ideas. For me, an execution idea is a typical idea. Whatever you want to get done, you put it there. what I call a scaling idea. It's an idea that if you implement it correctly, it's going to at least double the revenue in your business. So if you have an idea that you believe is going to help you 2 times the revenue of your business, then put it on scaling ideas. If it's just something you have to get done in your business, put it as an execution idea. When you go back to your office after the training, I want you to delegate all the execution ideas to your team, and I want you to focus just in doing the scaling ideas. Those are the only ideas that you're going to spend time yourself in executing. And then I would recommend you put pause to this video and you go through this exercise. If you had to double the revenue of your business in the next year with 20% less time, what would you do? Give me at least 5 or 10 ideas of what will you start doing, what will you continue doing or keep doing, and what will you stop doing. So in this exercise, write 5 to 10 ideas of things that you will start doing, keep doing, and stop doing to double the revenue of your business in less time, 20% less time. And just write it here. So I recommend you pause the video and do the exercise before we continue. I am going to continue, of course, in the video. If you want to continue, more than happy. Okay, and here it's very important to understand that what's happening in the world on the amount of companies that we have. In the US today, or before COVID, there were 28 million companies. And as you could see, 96% of them do less than $1 million in revenue. By the way, I am from Mexico originally. So from Mexico, we see the US and we're like, wow, such a big country, really big economy. And when we hear about Google and Amazon and all these big companies, we say like, wow, they should have really big companies. When you go and look inside, you see that 96% of the companies in the US do less than $1 million of revenue a year. That's incredible. And by the way, that is a reality all over the world. I'll show you a little bit more in Mexico. But 96% of the companies in the US does less than $1 million of revenue. Just 4% do more than $1 million. Just 0.4% do over $10 million of revenue. And just 0.06% or 17,000 companies do more than 50 million a year. So that is the reality. And then the other thing that is important, you see companies go through the valley of death between one stage and the other. What took you to one company, one stage, will not take you to the next stage. You have to go through the valley of death to improve your company and change your systems and procedures to go to a next level. As an example, the type of clients that you have, the pricing, the employees, the systems that you have that took you to 1 million will not take you to 10 million. You have to significantly change your systems and procedures to go to a next level. And usually when you do that, your profit is going to go down, your sales are going to go down, you're going to fix it, and then you're going to go up again. So it's very important that you understand the cycles of the companies and how you have to adapt in each cycle to go to the next level. As an example, this is Mexico, my home country. Mexico has 5.2 million companies, very similar percentage, 96% and the rest. But there's one big difference. The average revenue per company in that stage. In Mexico, 96% of the companies do less than $500,000 of revenue. And here I'll give you more perspective. The US, a mid-market company, service mid-market company, does more or less $100,000 of revenue per employee a year. So whenever I go to an entrepreneur, I ask them, how many employees do you have in the US? And they say, well, I probably have 10 employees. Oh, you should be doing around $1 million or $1.2 million. And they said, like, how do you know? I never give you my finance. And I was like, yes, but I know that the average mid-market company does around $100,000 to $120,000 revenue per employee. In Mexico, revenue per employee is half than in the US. If someone in Mexico has 10 employees, they're usually doing $500,000 of revenue. I went to teach this course to India last November, and I went to India, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka. And the average in those three countries is between $15,000 to $18,000 of revenue per employee. So very similar percentages, just the average revenue per company in each stage is completely different. All right, so that's how many companies are in the US and Mexico, and those are the percentage. Now let's go deep into how to go from one stage to the other. And whenever you don't have a good strategy and a good execution model, that's how it feels when you scale a company. It feels that you're pulling a really, really big weight on the back. And I hear a lot of entrepreneurs calling me at 2 o'clock in the morning, having a really, really hard time and saying, hey, I feel I'm the only one pulling the weight of my company and growing my company. I need a team to help me go to the next level. And then I see companies going like this, really enjoying the ride, scaling the company and enjoying the ride. That's fun. That's how you enjoy the ride of scaling a company. So my objective in the next 2 hours is to help you go from feeling that you're the only one pulling the weight of the company to having a team, align, everyone knowing what they have to do, and helping you take your company to the next level. So that's what we're going to do in the next 2 hours. All right, Apple. As an example, Apple took 25 years to get to 9,600 employees. Not bad, really good. But then in the next 12 or 15 years, they went from 9,600 to 123,000 employees. So they were not the trillion-dollar company that they're today. That's fast growth. Why? Because it took 25 years to cook the company, to really get all the systems, branding, procedures, everything to take the company to the next level. So that's Apple. This is Starbucks. Very similar story. They took 25 years to get to 16,000 employees. And then the next 20 years, they went from 16,000 to 254,000 employees. That's growth. And by the way, you saw the growth, then they went down a little bit and then up again. So if you want to scale a company, you have to look back and look 25 years into the future. You need to have very clear direction of where you want to go. And this I've learned from Dan Sullivan. Dan is one of my big mentors. And Dan teaches you how to think in 25 years long term. And he says the human being overestimates what you can achieve in the short term and underestimates what you can achieve in the long term. So as leaders, if we put short-term goals, most likely we're going to fail them. If you put a long-term goal, most likely you're going to overcome it by far. So the best entrepreneurs usually put long-term goals and stay focused for many, many years in doing one thing and getting one thing right. So if you want to take your company and do something big, you have to think big. So try thinking about 10 years back. Imagine when you were there 10 years ago. Would you think you were today where you are today? No, you would have never expected to be where you are today. Why? Because in the long term, we overachieve what we expect we're going to do. And by the way, you will shift from limited time to abundance of time. If you know you have 25 years or 100 quarters to execute your strategy, you're going to be way more disciplined in what you do and way more strategical of what you do. And here I'd like to talk about Singularity University and Peter Diamandis. The founder of Singularity University is Peter Diamandis. And Peter tells you that a lot of people come to him and say, hey, Peter, you're telling me to think long term, but you're also telling me that technology is changing the world really, really fast. And Peter said, yes, people pay me a lot of money to ask me one question. What's going to change in the industry in the next 10 years? But no one asked me what I believe is a more important question. What is not going to change in the industry? He said the best companies have their strategy long-term based on whatever is not going to change on the industry. So here I want to tell you a story. Some years ago, a CEO of a company called me and said, Daniel, I've seen your videos, I went through your courses, I want to hire you as my coach to help me 10x my company. Today, I have 20 stores that I sell shoes for women. I want to go to 200 stores. Can you help me? And I said, no, I'm sorry, I cannot help you. I said, why not? And I said, because your business model is being designed and being successful for the last 20 years. If you want to be successful in the next 25 years, you have to adapt your strategy to the future and focus in something that is not going to change. I said, your focus is in opening stores. I don't think people are going to buy in stores the way they buy today. Some will still buy in a store, but it's going to be a very different store experience. And most of our shoes, you're not going to buy them on store. You're going to buy them online. You're going to 3D printing, whatever. So we did a strategy session and said, okay, what's going to change in the industry? And we decided or discovered that the way you buy your shoes, the way you order your shoes, the way they print or build your shoes, and the way you design your shoes is going to change. What is not going to change is that women still want to buy 40 pairs of shoes. Well, men too, but we want to still buy 40 pairs of shoes. So instead of having a long-term goal to open 200 stores, we changed the goal to help 1 million women buy shoes that allow them to go through the world with comfort and elegance or something like that. And now you have a long-term strategy that you could focus for 20 or 25 years. Today, in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from now, women or men will still want to buy shoes. So it's really important that you think long-term. And before we go to the break, I'm going to show one video and then one slide, and we'll go to the break. So this video, we have Salim Ismail, that is the first executive director of Singularity, teaching you how Singularity thinks to take their strategy to the next level in the long term.
One thing that if you put it into place could take your company from obscurity to game changer in record time. How do you inspire an entire organization? How do you attract and retain the best talent in the world? The answer is you must have a massive transformative purpose, or MTP. An MTP is not a mission statement. It is not a big goal. It's not motivated by profit. It's not a tagline. It's not a slogan. It's the soul of the organization. It goes way beyond mere marketing. It's a filter and a guide and a North Star for everything you ever do. Your MTP is that game changer. It drives all of your effort. It unites your workforce. It's the reason why your team gets up at 6 a.m. to complete your company's mission. It's the reason why they become evangelists for your cause. When I joined Peter Diamandis at Singularity University, one of the biggest factors was the MTP, to positively impact the lives of 1 billion people. Peter often says, find something you would die for and live for it. That's the power of an MTP. And in my book, Exponential Organizations, this was the single thing that every single one of the fastest growing companies had in common. They all had that North Star. So how to go from an ordinary mission statement to an MTP? It's huge, it's audacious, it's inspirational. It's focused on one major goal, objective, or problem space. And of course, that objective has to be massive. It's unique to your company. Nobody else should have the same one. Look at the huge wait lines that form for each iPhone release, or the huge crowds, the massive crowds watching every SpaceX launch, the cheer that goes up every time they launch a rocket. It wasn't that long ago that America had become blasé about space travel, but Elon Musk has turned completely on its head with his MTP of making humanity a multiplanetary species. It's about radical transformation for your industry, for the community, or for the planet. The best MTP is about transforming mankind. But the vision doesn't have to be on this scale to be an MTP. If I said to you organizing the world's information, you might recognize that as Google's MTP. That's their why and their filter for everything that they do. Thousands of people want to speak at a TED event, and when choosing their speakers, they ask themselves the question, is this an idea worth spreading? Here's one way to come up with your MTP. What question would you ask yourself that would ensure that you stay inspired to make a dent in the universe? And everybody involved would charge forward right alongside you. So let's get to work on your massive transformative purpose. You can create an MTP for your company, for a community, or even a personal one for yourself. I have a simple 1, 2, 3 process for creating your own MTP that I've described on the blog post we link to on this page. So go to that page now and start working on your massive transformative purpose.
Okay, and just before we go to the break, you could see this is our BHAG. We already shared it, or our long-term dream, our MTP. Scale impact and reduce drama for 10 million leaders by 2040. Every day, we wake up and we said, what can we do today to go and help more leaders of mid-market companies to scale their impact and reduce drama? And I hope through this presentation that is being translated to Russian, we're able to help thousands of Russian entrepreneurs. Thank you very much. We'll go to the break. We'll come back. the strategy gets reflected on the growth of the revenue, the top line. If your revenue is growing fast, then you will see your revenue, your strategy is correct. If the revenue is not growing or even decreasing, you have a strategy problem. So as you could see on the slide, the strategy gets reflected on the growth of the revenue. For me, the right growth, it's 2 times the growth of the industry. Online education, that is my business, grows at 16% a year. So I have to grow. My objective of growth is at least 32% of growth. And every year we've done 30 or more % of growth. So it's really important that you understand the growth of your industry and do at least double that, because the standard is the average of the goods and the bads. So if you want to be on the size of the good companies, you have to be growing faster than that. Second problem or decision, it's people. People will help you have happiness, enjoy working together, and have freedom. If you have the right team, you're going to be able to go to work, have fun going to work, help each other, and really have a cordial work. And whenever it's time for you to go at 5 o'clock, 6 p.m. or on the weekend, you're going to be able to disconnect and be able to enjoy your life outside your business. If you don't have the right team, people are talking in the back of their colleagues and they're telling your boss to fire you, and it's all this drama in the operation, and they call you a lot of times on the phone to your house at night on the weekend and say, hey, we need your help with this, or you need to get involved in this. So if you have the right team is going to be able to do the job right without having all this drama and all these extra things. And then execution. The execution gets reflected on the profitability of the company and how much time you engage executing the strategy. If you're able to have more margin than the industry and make more money than the industry average and be able to do your job in, let's say, 8 or 10 hours a day, congratulations, you have a good execution. I've seen companies that the employees working 13, 14 hours a day and they still cannot execute. They have an execution problem, or their margin is smaller than the industry or even losing money, and that's because of lack of execution. And then cash. Cash is not a problem. Cash is a symptom. The other 3 are problems. So let me try to do an analogy. When you go to the doctor, you tell the doctor, hey, doctor, I'm sick. And the doctor asks you, why you believe you're sick? And you say, well, because I have a fever. And the doctor says, okay, great. The fever is a symptom that your body is sick of something else. Let me ask you some questions to see what is creating the fever. And ask about your stomach, ask about if you have a running nose, ask about how you're feeling, to try to identify what is the problem that is creating the temperature in your body. Same thing happens with a company. When someone has a cash problem, I say, okay, let me ask some questions to understand what's creating the cash problem. If I have a strategy problem, that will create a cash problem. If I have a people problem, that will create a cash problem. If I have an execution problem, that will create a cash problem. So cash, it's a symptom that your company is sick of one of the other 3 things. So as a leader, I ask that you identify which of the decisions you have the most pain today, and you focus on fixing that. I see companies that they go and get a loan, and I say, great, what are you going to use the loan for? If you need a loan, it's to fix one of the other 3. Because if you got into a cash problem today, and you're not going to use the money to fix one of those 3, then you're going to be in a cash problem again in some months. So focus in fixing one of those 3. All right. So now I'm going to go into the 4 stages of how companies scale, and I'll give you what you have to focus on, what's the main priority and the barrier of each stage, so you could know what to do. And by the way, during the presentation, I'm going to tell you how the company grows in stages, and then how you have to evolve from entrepreneur to CEO to be able to adapt your leadership on the stages. That's going to be the second segment. Right. So stage one, the startup. You have more or less 1 to 5 employees. Remember, in the slide that we talk about how many companies were in each stage, what determines a stage is the amount of team members that you have in your company. So a company has 1 to 5 employees. It's a startup. The focus is to product development on validate your business model, what you're selling, what price, what distribution channels, all of that. The barrier that doesn't allow you to scale a company is the market dynamics. You need to understand competitors, how they compete with each other, how they lower their price to get you out of the market, all those kind of market dynamics you have to understand to be able to scale your company after. Ability that you have to develop is marketing. Why marketing? Marketing is a communication between you and your potential client. You're telling them what you want to sell them, and the client is telling you if they're willing to buy at what price. And then it's all about strategy. This is the stage where you should do your one-page strategic plan from scaling up and get your strategy right. You had a business model before, but you're testing your business model and adapting your business model to reality. If you validate your model or validate your business model, now you're ready to scale to the next level. And here I'm going to put another video. I'm going to take my audio and then we'll talk about the video after.
Hi, my name's Clay Christensen. I'm a professor at the Harvard Business School. I brought with me a set of puzzles, all related to innovation. We decided that the way we teach marketing is at the core of what makes motivation difficult to achieve. The most helpful way we've thought of it so far is that we actually hire products to do things for us. And understanding what job we have to do in our lives for which we would hire a product is really the key to cracking this problem of motivating customers to buy what we're offering. So I wanted just to tell you a story about a project we did for one of the big fast food restaurants. They were trying to goose up the sales of their milkshakes. They had just studied this problem up the gazoo. They brought in customers who fit the profile of the quintessential milkshake consumer. And they'd give them samples and ask, could you tell us how we can improve our milkshakes so you'd buy more of them? Do you want it chocolatey or cheaper, chunky or chewier? They get very clear feedback. They would then improve the milkshake on those dimensions, and it had no impact on sales or profits whatsoever. So one of our colleagues went in with a different question on his mind, and that was, I wonder what job arises in people's lives that cause them to come to this restaurant to hire a milkshake. So we stood in a restaurant for 18 hours one day and just took very careful data. What time did they buy these milkshakes? What were they wearing? Were they alone? Did they buy other food with it? Did they eat it in the restaurant or drive off with it? It turned out that nearly half of the milkshakes were sold before 8 o'clock in the morning. The people who bought them were always alone. It was the only thing they bought, and they all got in the car and drove off with it. So to figure out what job they were trying to hire it to do, we came back the next day and stood outside the restaurant so we could confront these folks as they left, milkshake in hand. And in language that they could understand, we essentially asked, excuse me please, but I got to sort this puzzle out. What job were you trying to do for yourself that caused you to come here and hire that milkshake? And they'd struggle to answer, so we'd then help them by asking other questions like, well, think about the last time you were in the same situation, needing to get the same job done, but you didn't come here to hire a milkshake. What did you hire? And then as we put all of their answers together, it became clear that they all had the same job to do in the morning, and that is they had a long and boring drive to work. And they just needed something to do while they drove to keep the commute interesting. One hand had to be on the wheel, but somebody had given them another hand and there wasn't anything in it. And they just needed something to do while they drove. They weren't hungry yet, but they knew they'd be hungry by 10 o'clock, so they also wanted something that would just pull down there and stay for the morning. Good question. What do I hire when I do this job? I've never framed the question that way before, but last Friday I hired a banana to do the job. Take my word for it, never hire bananas. They're gone in 3 minutes, you're hungry by 7:30. If you promise not to tell my wife, I probably hire donuts twice a week, but they don't do it well either. They're gone fast, they crumb all over my clothes, they get my fingers gooey. Sometimes I hire bagels, but as you know, they're so dry and tasteless. Then I have to steer the car with my knees while I'm putting jam on them, and then if the phone rings, we got a crisis. I remember I hired a Snickers bar once, but I felt so guilty I've never hired Snickers again. Let me tell you, when I come here and hire this milkshake, it is so viscous that it easily takes me 20 minutes to suck it up that thin little straw. Who cares what the ingredients are? I don't. All I know is I'm full all morning and it fits right here in my cup holder. Well, it turns out that the milkshake does the job better than any of the competitors, which in the customers' minds are not Burger King milkshakes, but it's bananas, donuts, bagels, Snickers bars, coffee, and so on. But I hope you can see how, if you understand the job, how to improve the product becomes just obvious.
I really like this video. I think it's one of the most important videos in the internet today, in YouTube, precisely because we don't necessarily understand what our products do in the market. And I've discussed this with many CEOs in stage 1 or stage 2 or even stage 3, and they still don't have clarity on what does product do. Okay, so it's really important that on stage 1, you figure out what your product do exactly, so you could go to stage 2 and then start scaling. So 6 to 15 employees, you have to focus on sales on this stage, 100% on sales. Why? Now you have a lot of fixed expenses. You have cash flow that you need to cover. The priority is hire the right team. Why hire the right team? You already have a team that you started on stage 1. But on stage 1, they were very generalist. Now you need people that are more specific, more focused on one thing. They're better than you in doing one thing. And you didn't even choose your team on the first stage. They choose you. Whoever is willing to work for you and risk with you, you're so thankful you invite them to work for you. So usually you're more strategical on stage 2. Barrier is leadership. Now you have to learn how to be a leader. We're going to talk about that in the next slides. Then the ability you have to develop, it's invest in building systems and procedures. So you could delegate, predict, and repeat the things that you do. Instead of doing things ad hoc, now you have to be putting systems and procedures to replicate everything you do so you could have consistent execution. And the decision is all about team and cash. How can I get the right team? How do I not run out of cash? And like Monopoly, rule number 1, do not run out of cash. Stage 2 is the hardest stage for the entrepreneur because that's when you have the most financial stress in your company, and you have to make sure you're able to go through this stage without losing. Let's see one small video that is important about this with this professor. He's amazing, faculty of the Growth Institute, John.
According to the latest research, 3 out of 4 companies that are backed by venture capital fail to return the capital that goes into them. And fewer than 1 in 10 deliver anything like what they've promised to investors. Even after you've gotten past a seed or an angel round and you're ready, you say, for a Series A, which might be what you're thinking about now as you want to jumpstart your growth. The odds are very bad. I want to get you to abandon what I believe is a misplaced idea that a VC or a private equity investor should be your first port of call if you want to jumpstart your company's growth. So, where should we start? First, you and I know that we've been taught over the last generation or so that the way to kickstart the growth of a good business is really simple, right? Number 1, identify a terrific new product or a new market. Develop a strategic plan to tap that new market or introduce that new product. find an investor to give you the money you need, and voila, soon you're going to be rich. Well, guess what? It hardly ever happens that way. Instead of getting the money you need from a VC or private equity investor, I hope to convince you that you should do what Bill Gates and Paul Allen did, and what Michael Dell did too. Get your growth capital. I'm talking about revenue here, not giving away equity. Get your growth capital from your customers.
I think it's really important because we see some business models that the faster that you grow, the more money you have to invest. And there's some business models that the faster that you grow, the more cash you get. So John has figured out that there's 5 business models that generate cash to help you scale your business. We know that growth sucks cash. The faster that you grow, the more cash you have to invest in your business. So John teaches you what you have to do to be able to take your company to a next level. And it's in this book, The Customer Funded Business by John Mullins. An amazing, amazing book. Really, really recommend it. So learn how to scale your business without investors. All right, stage 3. Now we're beginning to scale. And you have more or less 60 to 250 employees. This stage, I really divide in the valley of death, that is between 60 and 50 employees, 50. And then from 50 to 250, that's when you really have the scaling part. Priority, scale. Now is the right time to scale. The barrier, infrastructure. You have to invest in infrastructure heavily to be able to take your business to the next level and get all your systems and procedures to run faster and more agile. The ability you have to develop is alignment and simplification. And that's because now you have a much bigger team and you have your first layer of management. And that creates a lot of stress and lack of communication. So it's very, very important that you get alignment of your team and simplification. And then scaling, it's all about execution. Once you have your strategy right, once you have your functional org chart, your team right, now it's all about executing. And we see companies that scale with less drama or less drama than the average is because they are focused on the execution. And they are maniacal when they're executing. They want to be sure they're the best company executing in the market. So if you really want to scale, we strongly recommend that you focus on execution. And here's one of the things that you have to change on stage 3. You have to do a functional org chart, an org chart that is designed by functions, not by the people that you have. So this is the typical org chart. What we do is we turn around and we said, that's a service-oriented org chart. And I tell my team, now I'm not your boss. You're not below me. Now you're on top of me. Why? I am here to serve you. If you are great, you're going to build a great company. So my job is to have an amazing first line of managers and vice presidents. Imagine I have an amazing vice president of sales. How many sales problems do I need to fix? None. Why? Because my VP of sales is so good that he's going to get to the goals all the time. If I have a weak head of sales, how much do I have to invest in sales myself in time? A lot. So my job is to have the best leaders executing their strategy and helping them work together. So instead of being their boss, I change my cap and I'm their coach and I help them to be great. And the greater they are, the more they're going to help me scale my company and take it to the next level. That's why it's so important. And then I'll show you, this is Growth Institute functional org chart today. We have 5 departments, and we have the first one, is what we call the CEO team. And it's not just one person. We have a team at the CEO leadership. And we're in charge of relationship with thought leaders. We're in charge of designing curriculum, what kind of class do we need, and all the rest. And then we have HR leader and execution leader. We have 2 people of management at the CEO level to help me take decisions and be able to coach my team better for them to run the team. Then we go to an author like, let's say, Salim Ismail or John Mullins, let's say, from Customer Funded Business. I go to John, invite John to dinner, visit him, agree on doing the class, and then we sign a contract to do the class. Then we agree on the class, we sign the contract, and then I send it to the content team and said, content team, please put the class together. They record John, they do the videos, they put together the class, and they upload it to the LMS. Now that the class is ready, they send it to the growth team. And what's the job of the growth team? To grow the company. They have to do sales and marketing. And we call it client acquisition and client monetization. Acquisition for us is that you give us your name and email address to start a conversation with you. And then acquisition is when you pay a course or you buy a program with us. And then once you sign up, then we send them to the customer success team. And the customer success team is responsible that you are successful using our programs. And here's the KPI that for me is most important, the metric that is most important about my business. In online education, we know that a lot of people buy a course and never go through the course. So the best thing you can do is finish the course and implement. So for us, that a student or an executive that buys a course, finishes the course and implement the course is what works for us. So let me just give you an idea. In the world, the average completion rate of a course that you buy online is 15%, 15%. The typical MOOCs, these really big classes, is 3% completion rate. At the Growth Institute, we have up to 85% completion rate. Why? Because of the customer success team. They are not customer support. Support is when you have a problem. Customer success is to make sure you are successful. And then we have what we call the support team, that is finance, technology, branding, and the rest, to make sure the rest of the teams work together. That's the way we run. We believe that's a functional org chart that works correctly for our company. And this is something we learned from Scott Farquhar, the CEO of Atlassian. It takes this kind of discipline and focus to scale up. Today, Atlassian is worth around $20 billion and is still run by 30-year-olds. And that's why they're so good. They focus in discipline of execution. And that's why they've been able to execute and grow the size. And by the way, that's how it looks. Of course, I'm talking about boats, but you will see all the team. When they turn, they run all together to the other side. They're perfectly aligned of what they have to do. That's how you see a great execution company. All right. On this part, now let's talk about you. How do you have to evolve from entrepreneur to CEO? Remember, if your level of knowledge is here and you have your company here, you won't be able to scale it. You have to go to the next level, so then you could scale your company. So let's see how you have to evolve from entrepreneur to CEO to go to the next level. Oh, sorry. Before that, stage 4. I missed stage 4. So stage 4, you have more than 250 employees. The focus is to dominate your industry. Now you're beginning to talk about market share. I have 5% of the market, and I need to win market share, and that's going to take market share from someone else. You want to reinvent continuously. That's your priority. Why? You enter a comfort zone. You now have good clients, recurring revenue. You have all these systems and processes that work, and you get into a comfort zone, and the team settles down in a comfort zone. And that's really dangerous. You have to reinvent yourself and adapt your company to the strategy and what's happening in the world today. The barrier that you have to overcome is get out of the comfort zone. Why? You get to the comfort zone, you begin to be all really nice, and you take vacations, long vacations, and that creates a problem. So what you have to do as an ability is to adapt, be the change catalyst to get out of the comfort zone, reinvent continuously. And the decisions of scaling up are the 4 decisions. And now you have to scale it and take it to the next level and the next level and the next level. All right. Sorry, that's stage 4. So now let's go to you. How do you have to evolve from entrepreneur to CEO? And here on stage 1, you have to do 3 types of jobs. So the first one is the technical work. So every company, if you do consulting, as I do, or video editing or courses, at the beginning, I was doing the consulting, I was recording the courses, I was editing the courses, I was uploading to the LMS, I was doing everything, all the technical work. Then I had to do the manager or the administrative work. I have to have a company, I have to pay taxes, pay payroll, accounts receivable, all that, the management of the company that you have to do. And then the entrepreneur, I have to do all the entrepreneurial work. I have to design the strategy, I have to design the products, go and sell the products, and the rest. That's why we like companies that when they start, they have at least 2 or 3 co-founders, because each co-founder could be the head or lead one of these 3 things. The best companies, they don't have one person doing the 3 things. They have 3 people, each one doing one thing. And that's how you start doing a great company. If you want to see a great setup at the beginning, is do those 3 things. Now the grow up, when the company is kind of a kid, now you're the leader for the first time, right? You instead of doing the things, now you have to step aside and lead a team. And as you could see, you lead teams one-on-one. Everyone has a direct line with the CEO. And there you have to do 2 things. You have to first set the direction. Are we going there? Are we going there? Are we going there? Where are we going to go? And that's the job of the leader, to tell people where they have to go. So as the leader of a company, you're going to have to first than anything, strategize, understand how you're going to present that very, very clear, and tell people we're going to go there. And then you're going to tell each one what you expect from them to go there. So as an example, you said, hey, we're going to go there. John, you have to do this. Laura, you have to do this. I'm going to do this. You're going to do that. And everyone knows what they have to do, and you delegate responsibilities to everyone. If you do that, you're going to be able to go from stage 2 to stage 3. Now on stage 3, you begin having faster growth, and now you're a leader of other leaders. Your leadership has to go through the first layer of leaders. And here, the biggest problem is what we call telephone in the US, or broken telephone in Latin America. You tell something to someone, and that person modifies the message when they send it to someone else. So here you tell the message to a leader, and then the leader distortions your message when they're going to the next level. So the most important thing you have to do here is be very, very clear on your communication. You have to simplify the strategy and the systems. So because now you have more people, and they begin making a lot of mistakes, a lot of errors. So what you have to do here is be very, very clear to everyone what they have to do, what do you expect from them, and have it very, very clear. So everyone is understanding what they have to do. Then you have to help them build teams. As you could see, everyone has teams in different structures. So you have to keep everyone as a team, and they working correctly as a team. So instead of being their boss, as I said before, you're going to change your hat, and now you're going to be their coach. You have to coach them to be better leaders in their own format. And the last thing here that is very important, as you could see, everyone has circles in a very different format. Why? Everyone's a leader in their own way of being a leader. You have to help them be leaders in their own way of being leaders. You don't want them to be leaders like you, on your way, on your format. You want them to understand their leadership structure, message, habits, all the rest, and help them do better. So instead of you dictating their leadership, you have to help them take their leadership to the next level and help them lead better. And if you see, of course, something that they're not doing good, help them improve that through deliberate practice for them to get better. The hardest thing for the leader is to learn how to be a leader on third stage. And let me explain to you, for me, what's the biggest difference. On stage 2, you're playing checkers. On stage 3, you're playing chess. What is the difference on this? When you're playing checkers, you look at your board, and everyone has exactly the same size and color. They're all black or white chips, and the chips are exactly the same. So who has control of the game? You. And you move them around and you play with the chips to take decisions and win the game. When you're playing chess, it's completely different. You look at your board and said, hey, my board is different, right? I see my team members and they are different with each other. They have strengths and weaknesses. One does something very good, the other one does something very good, but someone is not very good for doing this, and the other one's not good for doing this other thing. So now you have to position them strategically for them to use their strengths and then cover the weaknesses with other team members. The most successful leaders are able to play chess and be way more strategical with the team that you have. And you don't manage everyone the same. You adapt your leadership and your management to their strengths and weaknesses. And if you're able to do that, now you're going to be able to build a team that's going to help you take your company to the next level. So here, the most important thing is to keep the main thing. Simplicity, focus, clarity, execution. Stage 3 is all about keeping everyone focused in whatever is important and everyone aligned to the one thing that is the one thing of the business. And then, of course, stage 4, you become a satellite around the organization, and the day-to-day of the operation runs without you. You are there to be the trend hunter, understand the trends of the industry, change catalyst to bring innovation to your company, and then chief of culture. You have designed a culture in your business. You want to make sure that that culture that you design, people are living that culture, even if you're not there. And by the way, what is culture? Culture is how your employees run or execute whenever you're not in the room with them. So if you build great core values, principles, culture, and the rest, then it's going to be very important or easy for them to live these core values. If you don't have good core values, you don't have good core purpose, you don't have a good strategy, it's going to be very, very difficult for them to execute the way you want them to execute when you're not in the room. So here, let me use my last 2 minutes of this section to really deep dive into this. In the first stage, you were doing everything. On second stage, you're leading one-to-one. On third stage, you're a leader of leaders. On the fourth stage, now you're kind of a satellite, like on the outside, just seeing the operation and just doing small adjustments to the operation. My grandfather died when he was 101 years old, and he had 24 great grandkids. When he had his first grandkid, he was the son of my brother, and my father in the hospital called my grandfather and said, hey, congratulations, you're a great grandfather. And my grandfather began crying, and he was all kind of very, very happy, and he couldn't talk that day. So he told my father, hey, I'll call you tomorrow. So they hung up the phone, and the next day he calls my father and said, I was thinking all night of what it is to be a great grandfather compared to a grandfather, right? He said, if you're the father, you're 100% responsible of your kid. If you're the grandfather, if your son fails as a father, you have to jump in and fix it, right? When you're the great-grandfather, two people have to fail in the middle. I just have to be on the outside having fun and be able to give you some guidance from far away. And I think it's the right way to see things. You're not a leader. You don't tell people what to do. You have to be on the outside, just seeing how the operation moves and say, hey, watch out. This trend is not going correctly, or this is happening on the wrong direction, or I'm not liking this. And you give them a perspective that is very different from them. Because instead of being on the operation every day, you're outside of the operation, kind of like a consultant that you could see the operation differently and be able to give them guidance from the outside. If you do that, your company is going to be able to scale consistently on stage 4 and then into much, much bigger companies. But here, you have to accept that you could not do everything yourself. you could not have your hands on operating. You have to be on the outside, watching how the operation looks, and bring strategic alliances, partnerships, moving on the right direction, read a lot, and be able to be more like a great-grandfather for the company and just guiding them correctly. That's how you run a company on 4th Stage. All right. So thank you very much. We're going to pause now, and we're going to go to the next chapter or the next session. Thank you. So in this last session, we're going to talk how to build your CEO system. But we have one important belief at the Growth Institute. Athletes spend 90% of their time training, learning techniques, and practicing to execute 10% in their best level. In business, we do it the other way around. We operate 99% of the time, and then we don't practice enough. So if you want to 10x your company, you first have to grow your team in 10x, not just quantity, but quality, knowledge. So it's really, really important to do that. And that's why when we go to a CEO system, this is going to make a lot of sense. We believe that for you to build a CEO system has to have 3 parts. Part number 1, focus on you. You have to be good. If you have financial problems, if you have marriage problems, problems with your kids, addiction, alcohol, you're going to have a lot of drama in your life. You will bring that drama to your team, and the team will bring that drama to the company. So you have to focus on you for you to be in good shape. And I'm saying health, financial, everything, you have to be good. And if you're a good leader, that you have a good life, then you're going to be able to build a good team. And then that team is going to build a great company. So the focus of a CEO system is first focus on you, so you don't have a drama in your life. Then you could build a team that is a drama-free team, and then that team is going to build a great company. We don't believe you could go directly to build a great company. You have to focus first on building a great team, and that team is going to build a great company after. So let's go into CEO system. All right. So first, focus on you. You have to operate at a higher mindset. Remember, we're talking about your mindset and growing. Build and lead your tribe. We believe your employees are one part of the tribe. There's more tribes that you need to be able to have a CEO system. And then work-life integration, not life balance. I am an entrepreneur. When I'm teaching, when I'm running my company, when I'm playing with my kids tonight, I am an entrepreneur. That's who I am. So I'm not going to be an entrepreneur and then at 5 p.m., oh, now I'm going to be a father. No, I'm an entrepreneur. That's who I am. So I want to integrate my life and my work better. So let's talk about those 3 things. And here you have to start with a decision. You have to start deciding what you want. And it's a balance between scaling your company and your drama in your quality of life. If I want to grow my company 2 times faster, I probably can, but I will lose my wife and I will not have a good relationship with my kids. So it's having a balance, what we believe it's important. And by the way, I don't care if for you balance is like this or for you balance like this. What is important is that you decide what you want to be. And once you decide what you want to be, now you're going to be able to play and build that balance. But it's a very, very rigorous balance between your purpose, your why, the amount of money that you want to have, and the rest. And this, I had a discussion with many CEOs. And I said, hey, what do you want to do? And they tell me about their plan, and they're going to own $100 million. And I was like, great, congrats. That's going to be a lot of money. It's going to be fun. But do you understand how many Saturdays you're going to have to work to get to $100 million companies? And they said, yeah, every Saturday. So I'm going to have to work Monday to Saturday all day. And I was like, and that's the kind of life that you want with your kids, that you will just see them a day a week. Well, no, I won't see my kids more. Well, then you're probably going to have to balance that a little bit more, right? Like Richard Branson. I really admire Richard Branson in the sense that he spends a lot of time with his kids, disproportionate amount compared to a lot of parents. And he has like 400 companies. He has found a way to do both things well. But it's really important that you understand at your level, your knowledge, your lifestyle, where do you want to go. And I really believe this is like an airplane. In the airplane, they said before you depart, said if you have a pressurization, mask will come out and you have to put the mask first. You could not start helping people without putting a mask, because then you're going to faint for lack of oxygen. You're going to die. So you have to put your oxygen mask first. This is the same in your business. If you want to build a great company, you first have to build a great team, but then you have to be well with yourself. If you are depleted, you have financial problems, you have weight problems, you got divorced, you have problems with the kids, it's going to be very, very difficult that you build a great company. So focus first on you, for you to be great, be in a good life situation, and then you're going to be able to build the rest. And I believe, and this I learned from Dan Sullivan, you have to run with 3 types of days. First, execution days. Why? Those are the days that you're executing. And I usually go to my office and I work in my office, let's say 7, 8 o'clock in the morning to 6 or 7 p.m. in the afternoon. But I'm executing all the time on my company. But I usually go to the office 2 days a week. That's it. The other 2 days, I prepare. So this presentation, by the way, today, for me, is an execution day. I recorded a presentation for an event in Latin America this morning. Now I'm doing this for Russia. Then I have to do some courses, recording some videos for courses, and I'm going to be executing all day. A week before, when we agreed to do this presentation, I spent 1 day to plan, and I did all my slides and everything, and I was preparing to be able to give my presentation. So I try to divide days in my mind, days that I execute all day, and days that I prepare to execute better. And I usually work from my home office that I'm today, and here's where I prepare. And then I go to my office and do my execution days from my office. And then you need to have 3 days. By the way, in the case of, I live in Canada, in Toronto, Canada, we're going to have Thanksgiving on Monday. So tonight at 6 o'clock, I'm going to go with my kids and my wife for 3 days. We're going to go to a hotel like close to here, and we're going to spend 3 days completely relaxing. I'm not going to take my computer, no nothing. I'm not going to respond to emails, and be completely 3 days to be ready for next week. And this is how my office looks when I go to the office. I don't have a desk with a computer and everything. I usually go and I work in a conference room. So I don't have an office in the office. I go 2 days a week and I sit down in a conference room and work with my team all day. Hey, we need to sign a contract. Bring the contract. Let's review together. Sign it. You take it. Hey, we need to work with you on the compensation program. Bring the numbers. Let's analyze. Let's agree on the compensation. Then you go and operate. But I'm there working with my team all day. And then at 6 o'clock, turn off my laptop and leave the office. I ask that you don't have an office in the office. Because if you have an office in the office, things will get stuck in your office. So I strongly, strongly recommend change your desk, put it or build it as a conference room like this, and then just operate like that. You will see you're going to be liberated. People are going to learn that when you're there to work for them, and then you're able to be outside, and they're going to take care of things whenever you're not in the office. You have to get your team used not to be in the office all the day. Ooh, this tool, it's on the side. It's weird that went on the side. Give me 1 second. I don't know why it looks on the side, but okay. Go to page 6 of the exercise. And here, it's very important that you have, and here I have my page as an example. It's here. And I have it with me all the time. By the way, this is for my next week. So I'm going to write it today before I go on vacation. But here I have my top 5 priorities of the day. And it's aligned. So this is the front of my page. This is the back. In the back, I have my life, how I want my life to look. And then here, I have my 5 priorities for my personal life, my business life, and my coaching business. So I have my 2 businesses and then my personal life. So every week, I plan my week. And I said, if I could just do 5 important things every day, what do I need to do? And I plan my week. And how do I plan my week? As you see here, I have a writing of how I want my life to look. I design my life with a 25-year framework. And every day, part of my morning ritual, I wake up in the morning, and I will talk a little bit more about that. I do exercise and the rest, and I read my objectives. And then I'm able to plan what is important today to go towards my main objective. So please go out and get page 6. And let me explain to you how you're going to build page 6. And this is in this page. So first, you have to write a list of people and things that matter to you. And for me, it's my spouse, my kids, my siblings, my parents, my friends, money in the bank, the house I want to have, the amount of books I want to read, the amount of courses I want to create, the amount of books I want to write, the amount of exercise I do every week. I wrote the 15 or 16 things that I care, that it's important for me. And then I write a sentence in present and positive tense of how I want that objective to look in the future. So I'll read you as an example. My life is how I designed it and plan it. I like to design my life. I hate that life pushes me. So if I don't design my life, the world and the life is going to push me. So I design here the kind of life that I want. And then Nina is my wife, and I have fun together, and we're best friends. For me, that's the most important thing. Best friends tell everything to each other and have fun together. And then I talk about Lucas and Camila, my kids, how old are they going to be when I'm 55 years old. And then I have a sentence that describes how's my relationship with them. Then I talk about my friends, and then I have another part, that's kind of my personal life. And they have another one for a paragraph that said, hey, I read X amount of books a year, I build X amount of courses, I help X amount of entrepreneurs to be better. Everything is detailed there. How much money I want to have in the bank, how much money is going to be my company worth, a nonprofit that I'm doing, how many people I'm going to help with that nonprofit. All of that is there. So I read it every day and say, okay, if I want to do all of this in the next 20 or 25 years, what do I have to do today? And I put my 5 goals of the day, going towards that. And then assign a metric that measures success. Try to have an amount, a date or something, and write a paragraph assembling all these sentences. So as you could see, I have a paragraph, personal and business, and how we want it to look. Strongly recommend you plan 25 years your life. And then you build a company that is aligned to your life. We see entrepreneurs that they don't have their life plan and they adapt to their company, and then they end up living a life they don't want. So it's really important that you design your life and build a business that aligns to your personal life and brand. If you want to stop here, please do that. Really, really important. It took me a long time to do it, but you can imagine how happy I am with this page because it just gives me focus and it's based on something that I want, not that the life is pushing me or the economy is pushing me to do. I'm doing what is important to me. And of course, routine sets you free. Every human being, we need routine, we need structure, we need systems, procedures. For me, the most important routine is the morning routine. I wake up 2 hours before the rest of my family wakes up. My family usually wakes up at 7 a.m. I wake up at 5 a.m. And I do these things. I do some exercise. I meditate. I have a cup of coffee, a really good cup of coffee, and I read. I need to learn. So if imagine you wake up at 7, you turn off the alarm, you go running to the shower, you shout to your kids for them to get dressed and eat breakfast. You take them on the car, you shout to people on the car. By the time you get to your office, you have a lot of drama. And then you're going to bring that drama to your office. And I am depleted of energy, and then I have to give energy and things to people all the time. So I wake up 2 hours before, and I dedicate 2 hours for me to gain energy. And for me, what gives me energy is learning, exercise, meditation, good cup of coffee, and I love to hear music. I like to hear 2 or 3 songs that really put me in the moment And now at 7 a.m., when my wife and my kids wake up, I am already like full of energy, ready to start my day and help people and give a lot of value and energy to the world. So I have those 2 hours for me to gain energy and dedicate for me. And the rest of the day, I could dedicate the rest of the day to anyone else. And I could help a lot of people. But I have to dedicate 2 hours for me every morning. So early to bed and early to rise make a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. Benjamin Franklin. I love that quote. I think it's an amazing, important quote. Of course, I do deliberate practice based on the book. Just follow the format. By the way, John Mullins, we just talked about that. John tells you about 5 models to finance the growth of your business with your clients. I used the 5 of them. That's what I did. I went, got the book, called him, got a meeting with him, invite him to be a faculty. We have a course with him. And then I asked him to coach me to implement the 5 models in my business. And we're growing really fast and we're financing the growth with that. We don't have big venture capital or private equity funds. We have some angel investors, but we finance a lot of our growth with our own clients. Deliberate practice, really important. And then I have dashboards. By the way, this is my dashboard of my body. I'll tell you, today it's early in the morning. I've been in the table sitting a lot. The oxygen of my blood is 95%. It's okay. Today my heart rate is 84. I've walked like 4,000 steps. I need to walk more today. I need to get to 10,000. Everything is here. Then I have dashboards for my business in my phone. I could tell you exactly today how much revenue we have to now, how much money is in the bank account, everything we have in our dashboards. And we have a dashboard to everything, and it's in real time. So once you have data and priorities, then you put them on dashboards. And now you're able to read what is happening. So as an example, in this dashboard, these are the 5 priorities of my business. And on the right, they're all the individual priorities to accomplish the priorities of the company. If I ask you, how many problems do I have in my business? You said, well, there's 4 reds. So I imagine you having 4 problems. And I was like, yeah. Then how many yellows? Well, 7 yellows. So I have 7 potential problems. And then, of course, green is going well, and super green or dark green is going really, really well. So then I ask, which of the 5 priorities is doing worse? Which one is doing best? Well, number 2 is doing worse. Number 5 is doing better. That's it. I want to be able to read what's happening in my company, in my life. I see my body, how it's working, and I have dashboards to tell me how things are going. So once you have priorities, you put KPIs, and then you have dashboards to read how you're doing. It's incredibly important to have dashboards. As an example, this is a dashboard from the US Open. You could see all the statistics they have from the players, right? You need data to take decisions. The better data, the better decisions you're going to be able to take. All right. CEO system step number 2, build a great team. And now we're going to hear a video of Gene. Let's see this video of how you have to look in your team.
Disciplined people who engage in disciplined thought and who take disciplined action. This staging process is what we found in the Good to Great research. And notice what comes first. It's disciplined people. And it brings me to one of the key findings from all of our work. When Dick Cooley became chief executive of Wells Fargo in the late 1970s, he knew he would be facing the storm of deregulation. He knew that the entire banking industry would be upended when deregulation swept through. The board, understandably concerned, asked Cooley, what is your vision? What is your strategy? Where will you lead us? How will you get us through the storm of deregulation? And Cooley had a wonderful answer. I don't know. Not only that, it's the wrong question. See, I am not going to first figure out where to drive this bus and then get people on the bus. No, I'm going to do it completely opposite. I am not going to figure out where to drive the bus until I've got the right people on the bus. And only once I've got the right people on the bus the wrong people off the bus and the right people on the key seats, then and only then will I turn my attention to the question of where we will drive this bus. The best executives we've studied always think first about who and then about what. It's not about just getting a great team. It's not about finding talent. It's not about getting great people. No. The key word is first. First, get right people. First, get the people on the bus. First, think about who. Put who ahead of strategy, who ahead of tactics, who ahead of technology, who ahead of business ideas, who ahead of everything. First who, first who, first who, then what?
Tells you everything. First who, then what? And it's people first, disciplined people first. If you get the right people, then you're going to be able to build a great company. If you don't get the right people, it's going to be very difficult to build a great company. So your focus should be on the people. So here it's your tribe, right? We need to talk about your tribe. Here on page number 1 and 2, we give you space for you to choose the top 10 relationships that will help you scale your company faster with less drama. You could put whoever you want. You could put President Putin on the name, right? Who's that person? What wisdom, knowledge, or what they possess that you need to help you? How can you help them? And then what you're going to ask from them. And we ask that you think what you're going to give them first, so you find a win-win relationship. So it's really important that you understand who are these people, write them, and then build the systems and procedures to contact them, invite them to dinner, send them a book, make a relationship with them, and ask for help. If you don't ask for the help, you don't reach them, they will not be able to help you. So it's really important that you have your list. By the way, I have a list of 25 influencers that could help me grow my business, and I have a list of 25 thought leaders, people that write books that I want to do courses with. And I'm all the time sending them things, letters, sending them numbers, how we're doing on the company, to get them excited. And one day they call me and say, hey, I want to do a course. Let's do it together. Why? Because I've been there consistently telling them that I want to do something with them. So write your top 10 relationships and then build a process to continue having a better relationship with them, meeting them, opening to them, and the rest. So scaling is complicated. Each team member you bring, it adds exponential complexity. So we really believe everything starts with the hiring. Most of the problems that we see in companies is because they had a deficient hiring system. So the first thing we like to fix in a company that they're having a lot of drama is their hiring system. And the best hiring system we know is Brad Smart, Top Grading. And now we're going to have a video with his son, Jeff Smart, and he will tell you how can you hire better people.
Your number one problem. Your number one problem is making hiring mistakes. There are a few bad ways to hire. One is called the art critic approach to hiring. And this is, you've seen it many times. It's where the hiring manager or the entrepreneur uses their gut feel, almost like the way an art critic appraises a painting. You know, there's a snap judgment and it doesn't take much time and it's based mostly on intuitive gut feel. Well, this hiring failure rate is at least 50%. And the reason is because you're not really getting much information about the candidate. You're just making a intuitive snap judgment. Another bad approach to hiring we call the prosecutor approach. Some entrepreneurs think they need to stress out a candidate or see how they react under pressure. That's not a best practice. Stressing out candidates and trying to make them feel uncomfortable ends up not being a very good way to get information with which you can use to make a good hiring decision. And then, of course, please avoid asking people what kind of animal they would be and why. This does not help you hire with 90% accuracy.
When I start scaling my companies, I realized I had no idea how to hire people. There are great learnings that you could follow disciplined practice to really learn how to better hire. I strongly recommend Jeff and Brad Smart books and teachings, and it gives you a process of how to consistently hire better people. And then here we ask in exercise on page 8 that you manage your team and understand who's who on your team. And we like that you have what we call A, B, and C players. A players are your best team members. B players are okay, not great. C players, you should get them out. So the way we run this, let me walk you through this. So first, write the names of your top 15 people or the 15 people that report to you, and then chart them on the chart. The more on the right, the more productivity they are. The more productive, the more money they bring to the company. The higher in the chart, the better core values, the more they're aligned mentally and emotionally with the company. Someone that is like completely bought in emotionally with the company and produces money, it's an A player. It's on the top right, okay? The ones in the middle are Bs, and the ones below are Cs. Except the one up that has great core values, very aligned, but doesn't produce a lot of revenue for the company or a lot of productivity to the company. Why? Because they have a leadership problem. They want to give you value. They just don't know how to. You have to train them better or giving a better position. Remember of playing chess? You have to put them on the right position to be able for them to excel in their job. So it's our job to give them a better position and train them correctly. And that B will become an A if they have the right training. The C people, you fire them and they don't care, except the C on the bottom right. The C on the bottom right, why are they a C? They bring a lot of value. They create a lot of profit or revenue for the company. But why are they a C? Because they break all the rules. And by the way, we all know that person. We all have it in the company. It's someone that gets so much results, but he doesn't operate on the right core values. He never comes to the meeting, never sends reports, comes late to the meeting, is chasing the girls in the office. It's a mess. But no one says nothing to that person because they bring 20% of the revenue, or they are critical to execute something in the company. You have to identify that person and remove it with time, not immediately. Usually you do a plan that it takes you 3 months, 6 months, even a year. So you could protect yourself with that position, and then you fire the person. But it's very important that you understand that those C, the C on the bottom right, those people are usually, the bottom right, are usually like a cancer of a company. They are in your body, but if you remove them today, you're most likely going to die because they will take a lot of things with you. You have to give them chemotherapy to debilitate them, and once they're very weak, then you pull them out. Same thing with your employees. You have to identify them and do a plan to remove them with time. And then here's the most important thing I've learned. People said, okay, the more A players, the more I win. Yes, it'll be great to have more A players, but A players are difficult to retain and very expensive to retain. So how does companies win? How can you get more B players wanting to become A players, training to become A players with a delivered practice, a career path? How can you get them excited to become A players and give them the tools to make them A players? The best leaders in the world have a lot of B players really trying to, with training, development, delivered practice, aiming to be better. And you remember Avis, the rental company. They say, we try harder. We're number 2. We try harder. He said, we're not the best one, but we're the ones that try the hardest. Okay? So that's what it's important. Please do this chart. It's an eye-opening whenever you do it for your company. It's completely eye-opening. So put your top 15 people that report to you and rank them on the ABC player. It will give you a lot of light of where you are. Right. 2 leadership things that I recommend you do with your team. The first one is the drama triangle. And the drama triangle, you have a lot of victims in your company, and you have to turn it around. Let me explain this in the next 5 minutes. So someone comes to you and said, boss, I have a problem. And they ask you to rescue them. They say, I have a problem that is persecuting me, that I'm a victim, and I need you to rescue me. They ask you for a solution or for you to call the person or whatever and fix the problem. If you fix the problem, they're going to feel great. Oh, I don't have a problem anymore. They're going to feel good. But you created another bigger problem. You told them, because I agree you are a victim, I have to fix it for you. So you get them deeper in being a victim. Whenever you solve issues or tell them what to do, you're accepting they don't have the tools or the capacity for them to do it. So if you look for a victim in the dictionary, it says someone that doesn't have the tools, capacity, or knowledge to fix something or to take care of something. That's why they're a victim. So what you have to do is you have to turn around. You have to tell them, hey, you're not a victim, you're a creator. I hired you because I know you're great, and this is part of your development. And it's not a problem, it's a challenge. The word problem is I don't want it. The word challenge is I'm excited to overcome it. I'm excited to do it better. And then you said, I'm going to be your coach. I'm not going to be your boss. I'm not going to solve it for you. I'm not going to rescue you. I will coach you and help you take care of the challenge. So you coach them, you help them for them to do that and figure out the challenge themselves. If you do this, you will change from victims to creators, and they're going to significantly help you grow your company and scale your company. The most important thing is that you start working one by one of your team members and changing them from victims to creators. I have a couple of team members that are victims, and whenever I can, I sit down with them and say, okay, I know you have a problem. Complain whatever you want. You have 2 minutes to complain. They finish complaining and say, okay, great. What are you going to do? No, but I'm coming to you because I need you to tell me. I'm not going to do it. It's your responsibility. I'm going to help you do it, but I'm not going to do it for you. And then you take them through some questions and guide them to take the right decision. For you to do that, you have to learn how to ask the right questions. So we're going to go into understanding how to ask the right questions. And the questions are a difference between answering questions and asking more questions. The better leaders ask more questions instead of answering questions. So when they come to you with a question, instead of answering the question, you have to ask them another question that will get them to think. You will get them to come up with the response. And these are the type of questions. So as an example, if someone comes to you and says, hey, I want you to lend me money to buy a car. Great. Do you know what kind of car you want to buy? Yes, I know. It's a closed question. Yes or no, right? And then what kind of car are you considering? And that's an open question. Well, I'm considering buying a Maserati. And if you think they should not buy a Maserati because they don't have the money, you said, hey, what about a Toyota? You're not telling them, no, you're wrong. You just said, hey, have you considered a Toyota? What about a Toyota? No, I really want a Maserati. Have you considered the importance of being cheap or the importance that you will not get hijacked for it? In Mexico or in Russia and the rest, if you have a Maserati on the street, you could probably have problems. So have you considered the importance of being cheap, right? Or a cheaper car? If they say, no, I want to buy a Maserati. If you could not buy it because I will not lend you the money, what else would you buy? It's a discovery question. And then the last one is a challenging question. How would your decision change in gas price? If the gas price doubles, will you change? What will you change if the hijacking rate of Russia or Mexico or whatever doubles, or the cost of insurance is higher? Those are questions. So the best way that you have to transition your team from victims to creators is asking the right questions. I use this system to ask the right questions. And then Patrick Lencioni said it best. The single greatest advantage of any company is to achieve organizational health. So we see companies that scale, that they have two things. They have intelligence and they have health. Intelligence, great marketing, great strategy, finance, technology, all of that. But they're also a healthy team. Minimal politics, minimal confusion, high morale, high productivity. That's what it's important. That they know as a team that they work better as a team than alone. You could have great team players. They could be great goalies, but they didn't play as a team player, you don't have anything. So I want you to have teams that could do both things. All right. Let's go to the third part. Now you could build a great company. Let's focus on how to build a great company. And I believe a great company starts with a great strategy. And for me, there's a lot of things for strategy. I'm going to try to get strategy to the most simple format, what I call the 3 pillars of strategy. You need to answer these questions. First, your why. Why are you here? Why does the company, it's important that the company exists. And that's your big hack or your MTP, your long-term goal, okay? I'm here to help 10 million leaders of mid-market companies scale their impact and reduce drama. That's it. As simple as that. We know exactly how we give freedom to entrepreneurs and CEOs and C-level executives by helping them scale their impact and reduce the drama. Second, X factor is your what. What are you going to do different than the market to have a competitive advantage? People said, I want to go to the North Star. Show me your rocket fuel or show me your rocket. You could not go really, really far if you don't have a rocket to get there. So let's understand what's your competitive advantage to take you to the next level. And then the third one is how, right? Is the brand promise. Is how are your users are going to feel or how they're going to be affected positively from what you do. So you want to have a very, very clear how you bring value to the world. If you have those 3 things and align in the center by your right who, you're done on strategy. This is strategy in a minute. Understand where you want to go, your North Star. Understand what's your competitive advantage that will take you there. And then have a brand promise. A way you're going to promise to your client how they're going to feel or what value they're going to get from you executing like this. So I strongly recommend you build your MTP or your BHAC. Here I'm going to help you with some MTPs that we like. As an example, the conference TED, ideas worth spreading, right? Whenever you call a TED conference and I want to give a lecture, they say, tell me your idea to see if it's an idea worth spreading. Google, organize the world's information. Quirky, making invention accessible. Singularity University, positively impact 1 billion people, right? Everyone has its own. Google, organize the world's information. So write something that is North Star. This is going to take you 25, 50 years in getting it. You remember Bill Gates? What did Bill Gates give us? 1 computer in every desk running Windows. Very, very clear. He knew in the 70s we were all going to have computers in our desk running Windows. In this desk, I have my computer here, my iPad, my 2 phones, and my laptop there. I have 5, 6. Bill Gates knew we were going to be like this. So he built a system for us to be like that and said, hey, in the future, you're going to have a computer in every desk and it's going to run with Windows. So do a long-term goal. So what's an MTP or a big hang and what is not? It's emotional, credible, simple, replaces the mission statement. I hate the mission statement. It replaces your mission statement, guides people, guides scale, and it's transformative. It has a purpose. So here in page number 9, it's a tool to help you design your MTP. And I recommend you have an MTP for you as a person and one for your company. And you have to ask or answer the why, the how, and the what. So in the tool in page 9, we're going to ask you some questions. You're going to answer those questions, and we hope that guides you on understanding your MTP or your BHAG on your long-term goal. And of course, page 9 and 10, this will get you deeper. By the way, page 9 is like the first draft, and then page 10 gets you your draft to make it better, more attainable. And I'm going to close with, for me, what I believe is the best innovation model that is today. And today we believe you need to have a lot of innovation models. Technology is moving really fast. Education is moving really fast. The world is transitioning really, really fast. So I'm going to walk you through how to do this. And here's where we see the biggest problem. The exponential technology is like that rocket. And then our society, our culture, our politics, ethics, and everything is like on that old style wagon, right? So you cannot manage all these new technologies with all the systems that we have from the past world. So it's really, really important that you understand how to get your organization to run exponentially or in a new model to be able to run the new exponential technologies. And here we go back to Salim Ismail. I think he has the best module for innovation today called an EXO Sprint. So this is Salim's book. I think it's an amazing book on how to understand exponential growth. This is the why and the text. And then this book, Exponential Transformation, is the how you're going to do it. This is the practical book, the practical guide. And here I have to change slide. Give me a minute. Right. So this is the sprint that Salim teaches that I think is brilliant. He calls it the EXO Sprint. And by the way, you could learn how to do an EXO Sprint on the book Exponential Transformation. So imagine you put a mammoth, a really old, big animal, into a process of innovation, and you will come with 3 or 4 way more nimble, agile animals. And that's the way we design Sprint. So you take your company or a team of your company through this process of innovation, through a awaken and align session, and then you take them through a discovery process, disruptive building process, and launch, and then you come out with these new ideas and new initiatives. We've run hundreds of sprints in companies, and it's brilliant what comes out. You do innovation without your team, inside your team, with your team, but you have to give them a model for thinking of innovation. So imagine getting a structure, square organization. You pass through the innovation, you'll come up with an actual organization that is more nimble, more agile, and then it has these edge initiatives that are around. So imagine it's like having Marriott going through the process. And in the entrance, you all put the old Marriott, like a hotel chain, and then it comes out a more newer Marriott, but it also comes with a startup of Airbnb, Bookings.com, and TripAdvisor. Imagine the power that you could have getting your company from this old style box company to a very new company with all these startups around. That will be really, really powerful. And that's what the EXO Sprint. And here's the biggest mistake we see in EXO Sprints. What you see on top is not an MVP. Usually in a sprint, you have to do what they call the minimum viable product. If you understand what you do, in this case, you want to move people, you want to transport people. And people say, okay, I'm going to build a car to transport people. Great idea. But if I build a tire, and then I have a second tire, and then I have a chassis, and then I have a car, you will not be able to move people until you're on stage 4. So people get desperate and you run out of money until you're on stage 4, right? Because you will not move money, you could not give value to your clients, and that way you don't get that. What is the right minimum viable product is what you see below. If you want to create a car, but the car is going to move people, well, you first do a skateboard. It's going to move people. Donkey, if it rains, they're going to get wet, but you're at least moving people. And then you put a steering wheel, then you do a bicycle, then you do a motorbike, then you do a car. But from stage 1, you're already transporting people. So it's really, really important that you understand what you're really adding of value to the world and start giving values in stage 1. And I'm going to close with last 3 slides. And this is how I see the CEO model. In those 3 things, focus on you, focus on building a great team, and then focus on building a great company. The 2 technologies that I use the most to building and scaling a company are Scaling Up from Verne Harnish and EXO from Salim Ismail. And this is the way I see them. For me, Scaling Up is like the hull of your boat, right? Like the base of your boat. Imagine you have a boat that has balls and holes and it's clunky, and you put a big engine and you try to move it really fast. It's going to throw a lot of water, right? Because the boat is not agile, is not aerodynamic. And it has holes and there's water coming in and there's a lot of drama, there's a lot of water coming out. You first have to have a very aerodynamic boat. So Scaling Up is going to help you do a very aerodynamic boat. Now you're going to have a boat, they just push it and it moves through the water because it's very, very lean, it's straight, it's clean, has no holes, no water, and just moves really well. And now you put EXO, that it's a great engine on the top. And now you're going to have a boat that is agile, and then you're going to put a great engine on the top. And that's how you scale companies. You need to have both things. Like, remember the team? You need to have an intelligent team and then a healthy team. Same happens with your company. You need to have a good format or flow or base of your company, a company that is agile and moves fast. And then you have to put a great strategy and a great engine on top. So Scaling Up is the structure of your boat, and it allows you to reduce the drama, everyone's aligned, and help you enjoy the ride. And then below is the engine that it makes them to be more agile, more powerful, and move faster through the world. So my last question to you. Are you being the CEO your company deserves? Do you have the tools to scale your company? Do you know what you need to do next? A lot of people said, I don't know what I don't know. For me, it's very important that you have a CEO system with your tribe and your tools that will allow you to discover what you don't know and will give you the tools that you need to take your company to the next level. So please answer this. Are you the CEO your company deserves? Thank you very much. So are you playing to win or are you playing not to lose? That's it. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed this program, and this is going to help you be a better leader so you could 10x the impact you do in the world with less drama. And that will allow you to enjoy the ride and really be able to enjoy being a CEO, be able to enjoy being an entrepreneur, and really be happy of enjoying the ride of scaling a company. Scaling a company could be painful or could be a joy, could be fun. I hope this will help you run your company better and have more fun doing that.